Thank you for joining us today in today's series of candidate forums for the City of Sheboygan Common Council. My name is Debra Martinez. I'm the CEO of the Sheboygan County Chamber of Commerce. I also want to say thank you to our Governmental Affairs and Advocacy Committee and our annual sponsor of these programs, which is Prevea Health, as well as WSCS for partnering with us today to film these forums. So thank you to all. Our first in the series is our District 4 candidates. So I want to welcome Bob Lafave and Debra Yochis. And first of all, say thank you for your willingness to even run for office, because in many ways it is a thankless position. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. So we appreciate that your willingness to even step into a role of this nature and give of your time and talent. So thank you for that. Rules of the road, if you will. I will go through and I'll give each of you an opportunity to do a 2-minute introduction. And then from there, I have a series of questions that have been sent in from chamber members and our Governmental Affairs Committee members. Each of you will have you'll have 2 minutes to answer, and then if there is a response by the other party, you're welcome to have a 30-second response. And I'll try to make it as fair as possible by going back and forth so that nobody's answering the same question in the same order at the same time. We also have a timekeeper. So Drew's responsibility will be to hit the stopwatch to put in a 2-minute timer. He'll give you a 30-second warning if you're approaching that time, and then he'll give you a stop warning if you get to that point. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. And Debra, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm Debra Yochis. I'm born and raised in Sheboygan, lived here my life. I have 6 children. I work at Coldwell Banker, and I'm also self-employed with property management. I'm rooted here, and I love the community, and I just want to see what else we can do with the community.
Perfect, thank you. Bob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, yes, I would, and I'd like to thank the Chamber for having this. It's important for getting the information out to our voters. My name is Robert Lafave. I'm a candidate for the 4th District. I'm a lifelong resident of the City of Sheboygan, and for over 15 years, I'm a homeowner inside the 4th District, together with my lovely wife, Evangeline. We raised our 4 children in that area, and we brought into the world, or they brought into the world, 5 grandkids. Now, I love my hometown and the people in it, and especially those that are without power and misunderstood, having an older brother with cognitive disabilities. I felt a need to help those who needed it the most. As a teenager, I joined an organization called the SYARC. From the ages of 13 to 18, I and my dear friends were of service to these individuals. Inside of this organization, I held numerous offices on a local and statewide level. I personally formed the bowling league for these special individuals, and on a state level, I lobbied on behalf of these same people, all of this before the age of 20. After I became a father, I continued my volunteer work. I was a softball coach for my daughter's softball teams from elementary school all the way through middle school. As a father, I always tried to get the best paying job I could possibly have. I finally started to work at Bulworth Company, which has a strong UAW Local 1472. I, again, held many positions inside this organization, and I chaired several different committees. I also became a member of the UAW CAP Council. That's a community action program. Inside of this venue, I was the organized labor representative to the United Way on their Planning and Allocations Committee. Now, even as a retired person, I am still involved. I'm on the executive board of the United Way's Planning and Allocations Committee. And all of my life, I've learned to work with others. And when the need arose, I have learned to take a role as a leader. I think these qualities make me an excellent candidate for the office, and I can guarantee people of the 4th District, I will do my job with compassionate common sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob. So, Deb, if you can give us an idea of what made you decide to run for public office, and why do you feel that you are the best person to represent the 4th District of the City of Sheboygan?
Well, I'm I'm very involved in the community. I've been a volunteer at the Working Family Breadbasket for, I think, 15 plus years. I work at the Sheboygan Food Bank a couple days a week while I volunteer there. I also volunteer with Kindred Heart Families. I am a big advocate of the Sheboygan area Pay It Forward, helping those in need. I've actually been able to help some of them gain housing from there. I also, when I need to know something, I've been to the warming center. Just if there's something that I want to help and figure out with the community, I just feel that I get involved and see what the needs are, and I see people each and every day. So I'm very familiar with many people in the community, and I feel just with my role in volunteering in many organizations here, I can see the needs of the community and what the needs are in the community and how to change some things.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Debra. Bob, what made you decide to run for office, and why are you the best candidate for the 4th District of the City of Sheboygan?
Well, as I said in my opening, I've always been involved inside of the community and been taking leadership roles when I can. One of the things that happened with me is I was, for 4 different times, I was selected to be a delegate to the International UAW CAP Council Conference, where I had the opportunity, to my great pride, to lobby in the halls of Congress. So I think I kind of know how the game is played. And as I've said, I've worked inside of committees for most of the organizations I've ever been in. And I understand that the Common Council breaks off into committees and then comes in to the body as a whole. So I know how to work inside of committees. I know how to talk and to deal with other people. And like I said, I believe that we need compassionate common sense inside of the Common Council.
Thank you so much, Bob. So, Bob, I'll start with you this round. In leadership positions, especially in public office, there are times when you are expected to make decisions, maybe with limited information. Can you tell us, how do you make decisions about topics that you might be less than familiar with?
Well, I search out the people who would have the special knowledge inside of that, converse with them, get an understanding of the problem. You don't just make a decision off the top of your head. You have to study the situation. And I've done that on several occasions. And that's what you need to communicate and get into a good conversation, especially with the entities that have special knowledge in whatever the situation is.
Great, thanks, Bob. Would you like me to say that question again? I can. It's not a problem. I like to ask, so I don't start talking over you by accident. In leadership positions, especially in public office, there will be times when you're expected to make decisions with limited information. Can you tell us, how do you make decisions about topics that you might be less than familiar with?
I believe with those kind of situations, you would have to research, do your own research, find out what you can before making a decision. It's important to know, as many facts as possible before making a decision on any kind of situation. So I believe just researching it, trying to get to the root of it, wherever that may be, and going that route.
Thank you, Debra. Debra, we'll start with you. What element of our city do you believe that is currently the most effective, and why?
The most effective as far as?
So which parts of the city of Sheboygan do you feel are working currently, or working the best currently?
I think tourism is up. I like that we are expanding our horizons with just the tourism, the motorboats. the Airbnbs, just expanding to be known the Malibu of the Midwest. So I think tourism is up, and which is good. It's definitely starting to grow. We've always had kind of a population that's kind of stayed about the same, but I think it's actually starting to grow a little bit.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, what element of our city do you believe is most effective, and why currently?
Well, I know that the current administration that we have in the city right now is working to get 4 more tax incremental districts, which will make attracting commerce into the city. And, but we have a problem, and that is we have less than 1% of our available rental units occupied. Now, a healthy environment is 5 to 10%, and so we need to, and we have been working very close with the Sheboygan County Economic Development Corporation and the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to bring the businesses in, and also to try to get more housing, and not just affordable low-cost housing where you would think would be the biggest need. We need housing across the board. Now, a lot of people say that these new apartment buildings that are going up that look like they're pretty much like luxury apartments, they think that they're not filled. They are. We need to get housing across the board. And if you do, just simply like in the supply and demand, right now we have a huge demand for housing and very little. So that makes the costs go up. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I think, and I know that they're working on that.
Okay, thank you. So Bob, what part of the city government would receive more attention if you were elected?
I believe that we need, as I had said in my other response, to work very closely with the Sheboygan County Economic Development Corporation and the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation so that we can address these needs. We need to expand our commerce inside of the city of Sheboygan, and we need to have the housing for this new talent that comes in to our. I believe that we actually should maybe take some of our funds and basically advertise ourselves, because Sheboygan, such a lovely city as it is, it really sells itself. But maybe we need to give it a little oomph, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Bob. Debra, what is one part of city government that would receive more attention if you were elected?
Well, being in real estate, I would say the housing here is a big impact, both with managing properties and selling real estate. There's definitely a demand in both areas. So I believe the housing and just using some of the existing properties we have just into the housing structure is very much needed.
Great, thank you so much. And so, Debra, I will point this question to you. So we've been talking a little bit about this already, but cities need to grow and expand their tax base to survive. How would you support development and redevelopment in the city of Sheboygan? And are you familiar with the South Point Enterprise Campus? And if so, what would you do to encourage development in that space?
I'm a little bit, I believe that's on the far south side of Sheboygan. And I don't think there is too much out there at this moment. I'm not sure 100%, so I don't know. I know the development is there and the land's been there for quite some time. I think there might be one company going out there, or I think somebody was going out there recently, I think I've seen. But I don't know. Company-wise, I mean, I guess I don't know, so I guess I'm going to say I don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm aware that the district is out there, and there's a lot of housing being built out there. But probably finding a good company that could, expand here would be good. But I don't know who that would be at this time.
Okay. Bob,
Well, one of the things that I know is they have a bit of a traffic problem. We need to look at how we can develop, maybe even purchase some land to bring new ways of having these big, heavy trucks get into that area. That's probably one of the reasons why it's not so attractive to some of the things. If we could improve on that situation, we'd probably get a lot more takers. And I believe that, you know, and again, I don't want to keep beating the drum here, but we need to work very closely with people that know how to attract this. That would be the Sheboygan County Economic Development Corporation and Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. And then we'd have to work with our Department of Public Works and find some maybe state or federal funding to build those roadways that could hold the heavy semis, okay, so that they could get in and out of that area. Right now, it's a little bit thin.
Okay, thank you. So it is no secret, as we talk about attracting people to Sheboygan, that workforce has been a struggle in our city, in our county, in our state, probably across the country. But when managing public agencies, do you feel that it is better to have more employees at a modest wage or fewer employees at a higher wage to attract quality applicants? And I will ask Bob to answer this one first.
Could you repeat that question? Because
Sure.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
So as we continue to have workforce development struggles in the area, when managing public agencies, do you feel it's better to have more employees at a modest wage or fewer employees at a higher wage to attract quality applicants?
Well, I would think I would like to see everybody get the best wage they possibly could, but I would like to see more jobs out there, not fewer. The tax base, it is true. We need to increase that tax base. And by having companies come on in, they will bring people and new talent into this city. So I would rather have, I suppose, I would like to have everyone get the best wages possible, especially with my labor background. But I would rather have more jobs than fewer.
Okay. Debra, would you like me to repeat the question?
If you could, sorry.
Sure, nope, that's okay. When managing public agencies, is it better to have more employees at a modest wage or fewer employees at a higher wage to attract quality applicants?
That is actually a very good question. I would say the modest wage. Everybody should have a good wage of living, just because inflation's there and you want to have enough to cover your basis with expenses and things like that. So I believe that everybody should, sometimes you see McDonald's, you're at $15 an hour, and where's the next level? I mean, then that goes up and everything, and inflation just continues to rise. So I think a modest wage is the approach that I would use, but a good wage.
Okay. And Debra, I'll direct this one to you first. With a series of impending lawsuits relating to HR situations in the city of Sheboygan, what do you believe the city and Common Council could do, or what programs could be installed moving forward to avoid similar future lawsuits?
I believe with all that's going on there, just training, and I guess, more training when they're involved of, I don't know how to say it, but just training as, to be, how do you say that? I'm sorry. I guess just, people need to be aware of, situations and the way life is today. And I would just more training in groups of how to respect one another and be kind and caring to one another, because we're all humans and we all deserve respect and to be treated kindly.
Thank you, Debra. Bob?
Well, I am aware of the situation that you're talking about, and it did give the city of Sheboygan a fairly large black eye. I know that we're addressing that situation. Sensitivity courses should be done throughout the city government and all the agencies that are connected to it. I would think that would be an absolute must. Debra is quite correct. Everyone is a human being, and human beings of all kinds, everyone deserves respect. And we should give that respect to our employees inside of the city government. And respect starts with knowing and having the idea of making sure that you are sensitive to other people's needs.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will switch gears just a little bit, and I will start with you, Bob. What amenities do you believe the city is missing, and how would you work towards bringing them to the city?
Like I said, I absolutely love my hometown. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, we're a couple of blocks over here, and you've got one of the largest inland freshwater seas in the world. And a lot of people don't know that. I would really work very hard, as Debra had said before, on our tourism, to expand on that, and bring people in. I mean, we also have like some of the best golf courses in the world, right in our general vicinity. There's a lot that we can brag up on for the city of Sheboygan, and we're not doing that enough. And I would really like to see us push on that thing and give everything. Like I said, the city of Sheboygan sells itself, but you got to talk about it.
Sure. Debra, what amenities do you believe that the city is missing, and how would you work towards bringing them to the city?
I think the city could use a little bit more activities for the teenage kids in this area. There doesn't seem to be a lot for them to do. Back in my day, which was longer ago, we had things to do. I mean, we do have a little bit, we still have some skate park at the Kiwanis Park, but there's really no kind of hangout or a lot of events for just the teenage population to be at, and even some of the kids. I see just different posts about, what can we do with the kids this weekend? And we do actually offer quite a bit. We have the Meade Public Library, which we utilize quite a lot in my family. But just more activities for the kids around this area, especially the teenagers, I think would be good. We don't have a lot of shopping here. We don't have our mall anymore, although we have Kohler, the Deer Trace, and some stuff that's going up over by the Olive Garden there with the Van Horns. We just don't have a ton of stores here, so people have to travel quite often to Milwaukee or the Appleton or Green Bay area just for some of the stores. So it'd be nice to get a little bit more of those things. We did get the Olive Garden, which looks like it's quite busy and a good addition to the city, but just a little bit more of things to do. We have a lot of bars in the area, but just maybe some activities or places to do. Like we have one roller skating place, but maybe like another roller rink, or just some different activities, maybe without alcohol involvement, that would be beneficial to, all ages of our community.
Sure. Thanks so much. And Debra, there have, talking about amenities in the city, there have been some recent changes in the management of the Harbor Center Marina, which is owned by the city of Sheboygan, which closed the pool area, restaurant, bar, and store in that building. What do you believe is the next best course of action to revitalize that area? And how can the city better activate and enhance our waterfront?
in that particular space, I don't know how to enhance it. It was a nice amenity. I know several people that utilize the marina there, and they were kind of bummed out about all of that. But there's still, you know, we have the beautiful, you know, lighthouses and stuff. I think cleaning up our lake or the beaches and stuff in those areas would be a perk. They seem to be quite, I don't know, weedy or grassy in the sands. I just really think cleaning up the shores quite heavily down there would be a big impact down there. We do get a lot of people there for the, you know, the 4th of July and all summer long, and I think keeping that as a very nice space would be really nice.
Thank you, Debra. Bob?
Well, when it comes to the marina and the harbor center, they had a tavern or a wine bar or something like that that failed miserably. That space should be used for maybe a hall or a reception area where people could use it for their weddings. All in all, what we should do is make that whole area more friendly for the citizens of the city of Sheboygan, so it could be utilized by the city, and instead of trying to hope that the people who park their boats there that come from wherever, are going to spend. It's good that they come in and spend their money here, but wouldn't it be better if we had some more attractions that got used by the citizens of the city of Sheboygan? I think that would be, it would be a wonderful place to have an area that we could say, see how nice this is, you people that are on the boat? Why don't you come on in here and come back again sometime? Because the people that live here are using it.
Thank you. All right, Bob. We've talked a lot about housing, but I've got a couple of more questions in that regard. So we, as you've mentioned earlier, are facing a housing crisis. How do you believe that you as a council member could help facilitate meeting the needs of housing in the city of Sheboygan?
There are some areas inside of the city of Sheboygan, not many, but there are some areas that are either vacant or underutilized. We should try to get these properties, find some housing opportunities inside of these properties. And again, like I've said before, and I'm going to be beating that drum again, work very, very closely with the Sheboygan County Economic Development Corporation and the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to meet the needs that we have for businesses to come into town, which will attract more people into the town. And hopefully we can, as a common council, find the areas that we can have these developers, because the city of Sheboygan itself does not do development. We have to get developers from outside to come on in. And that's one thing that I would work very hard on as a member of the council, is to get those outside developers to come in and do the development that we so desperately need.
Great, thank you. Debra? How would you, as a council member, help to facilitate meeting our housing needs here in the city of Sheboygan?
That's a very good question. So there are, I believe, 62% of the county is rentals. And I believe we have a lot of very nice complexes, although I think some of those, the prices in the complexes are a little high. And I think working with the local landlords, for some of the housing, one would be actually for all property owners, to pull a permit, a job is $400, and then the amount of the permit goes up from what you're going to pull a permit for. Like if you're going to do a roof and it's $10,000, you're going to pay, I forget what it goes by, but I think increasing that, I mean, inflation has happened, and this with the $400 was set decades ago. So I think doing that even for anybody who needs to pull a permit to beautify their properties, make them more livable, but also working maybe with the landlords who have the smaller places where, maybe someone doesn't want a complex, but they want just a single family, or they want a 2-family or a side-by-side. But working with the landlords, maybe there's a program that, the landlords excuse me, there's a program where we can utilize funds and get some of the properties. Some landlords have vacant properties that still could be up and gone, but we just need to work all together with getting things where they need to be. And I think landlords have a bulk of properties here that are underutilized at this time. And I think there's programs that could help us as landlords and property owners, fill vacancies.
Great, thank you. And to further talk a little bit more about that, certainly we've have a bit of a housing crisis, and I will direct this to Debra first. So I would certainly be remiss if I did not mention the short-term rentals, Airbnbs, Verbos in the area. Where do you stand on short-term rentals, and are you aware of how this is affecting the local area?
I am aware of short-term rentals. I think there's quite a lot of short-term rentals, Airbnbs in the area, and I think there's I actually work with some short-term rentals, cleaning them and things, and I can see that they are sitting vacant quite heavily because there's just the tourism isn't here during these winter months, and the properties hence are sitting vacant. And when you do the short-term, it's harder because then it's off the market for people, or it's a higher price because you're just doing the short-term. So I'm more of a it's good to have some Airbnbs here because we do have a lot of people and travelers that come, and maybe they just don't want to stay at a hotel. Maybe they want to have their own space. So I'm not opposed to Airbnbs. I think we have quite a big influx of them at this time, though. And that does impact the housing market because it's houses or apartments that are off the market due to waiting for the short-term people to come and pay a little bit of more premium. So that's kind of a hard. It's an issue, but there is some needed, but I think we have a little bit too many at this time.
Thank you, Debra. Bob.
Well, I agree that Airbnbs are a nice thing, especially in the warmer weather. But yes, because we live in a four-season climate, we're going to have some times where people aren't just, they're not going to come to Sheboygan when we got 3 feet of snow, unless they're maybe doing some cross-country skiing or something, which is another thing that we could do. But I agree that we have maybe more than what we actually need. But I believe the market itself will probably shake that out. If you've got too many, people aren't going to open up new ones because it just isn't, business-wise, a very good decision.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, we'll start with you on this one. They're going to get a little easier, I promise. What do you believe the city can do or do differently to help grow and enhance engagement with its citizens?
Engagement with the citizens?
And to engage the citizens, to get them more involved.
I believe that the city should always reach out in the form of brochures or questionnaires that are mailed out to the citizens that ask them the precise questions that they need to get the answers to. I don't see us doing that. We should start doing that because, like I've said before, communication is the best cure for a lot of ills. We should make sure that we have a lot of good events. So like we had the Mercury Marine motorboat. I believe that brought in like $4.7 million into the community, and we're going to be having that again. The association that runs that said that Sheboygan was a premier place, and they even presented us with a plaque. I believe we should let the citizens of the city of Sheboygan know this. It's all right to crow like a rooster every once in a while.
Sure. Thank you. Debra, what do you believe the city can do or do differently to help grow and enhance engagement with its citizens?
I believe, as Bob had said, communication is key. And I just believe if people got more involved in their community, there's so many wonderful organizations here to get engaged with other people, to know your neighbors is really important, to know your neighbors. Like we have Love Inc., wonderful organizations, and it helps you learn different aspects of your community, different needs of your community. I just think really, you know, even once in a while we have lots of billboards just advertising, you know, different, even by the Kiwanis Bridge, there's those nice billboards, just different events and, you know, getting people out. The city did a great job with the concerts that are down by the John Michael Kohler Arts Center. We've enjoyed those a few times, and just, you know, getting to know people and talking to people and just knowing, you know, your neighbors is wonderful.
Great, thank you so much. And I know we're close to wrapping up here, so Debra, I'll give you some time to maybe share some final thoughts, some things that you would like voters to know as they head to the polls.
I want to thank everybody for their time and for having me here, and I love this community. I will still be an advocate until I'm old, just in the different organizations, meeting the people, seeing what the needs are of the people, and trying to make this community better. I plan to live here until God calls me home, so I think I bring a lot to the table, just in that I get out and go into the organizations to find out what the needs are, and I meet the people, and I know what the needs are, and I thank you for this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debra. Bob, final thoughts.
As I said before, I've been very involved with a lot of aspects of the city of Sheboygan, and the reason why I'm running for this office is I was asked to. And I was asked to consider making a run. And after consideration, I truthfully believe that it was my civic responsibility to do it. And the reason why is because I have worked so often, and I understand how the Common Council works. You break off into committees, and then you hash things out inside the committees, and you bring it to the floor as a committee of a whole, and you vote on it. But it's mostly the work is done inside of committee, and as I've explained, I have a lot of experience working in committee.
I apologize for the interference. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And thank you again to both of you for your willingness to serve in this capacity and to be a part of the conversation today. It's really appreciated. Thank you to Prevea Health for your continued support of Chamber programming, and of course for WSCS for partnering with us on this endeavor. So thank you, and we will be back in about 10 minutes with our next set of candidates.